This is a 4 session, so we are making good progress from first, second, and third. Hopefully, you guys have a chance to really dive into what we have discussed, certification and all, planning, development, what have you. Hopefully, you have a chance to really dig in and look through it. And today is going to be another topic that excited to hear what our speaker has to share with us, and we will wrap up just in time for the holiday, before the crazy holiday season in 2 weeks. We will be meeting lots of partner for success, people who have shared their try and turbulent to start this business in the airport industry retail. So don't miss the last one. I think that what we can do is just really learn from our clients, businesses, entrepreneur, our speaker and our consulting. Again, there are big opportunity, lots of question. So April and I are more than happy to go through this. So I know we
Absolutely.
have a lot of audience already in here. Again, welcome back. I hope this is not your first time. So we're not going to repeat what we have been doing in the past 3 weeks. But if you missed any of those sessions, feel free to contact us. I'm more than happy to send you a recording. We have been discussing just the basics. Session 1, secret to getting certified. We talk about how to avoid pits and fall to get your certification. And today, I think April going to dive into our almost last and final session, how to become a concessionaire at LAX. Just a quick recap before I turn over to April. We're going to take some poll, but if you're here the first time, this is a collaboration. Very delightful to work with April with her 25-year experience in this industry. She has been amazing sharing her story, sharing her experience and skill and experience to get to where you are. So thank you so much for that. And if you're new to PACE, we are a local business development center. We do provide a lot of technical assistance in terms of procurement and other business assistant related. So if you need help with navigating the complex world of government contracting space, or have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. We have a procurement team, staff member that want to be able to help you get through the next step. And April and I were just talking too, we want to be getting another session next year forward, maybe some sort of, to make sure you're ready, contract ready. Because again, everyone keeps saying Olympic is coming, FIFA is coming,
Yes.
all these big events is coming. This Thursday, there is sport and entertainment procurement summit. I hope you get to register and go there. You'll get to meet a lot of resources partner that we have been working with, and hear from all this the government agency and all this prime contractor. Hopefully you get to meet some of them and learn more about them. Again, I don't want to just keep talking about big
Oh, I'm
opportunities,
looking
but I
forward to
know,
that, though. I really am looking forward to that summit.
yes,
So,
if you already registered, great. It would be a
mhm.
great event just to networking. So
Yeah.
without further ado, I'm going to turn over to April. Actually, you know what? Let's take a poll
Yeah,
first.
let's
I'm
do the
going to take a
poll.
poll first. Okay,
Sure.
just get
I'm
started
always
with the poll.
curious to know who's in the room. So it's always helpful. It's good.
Where is my poll? Okay, okay. Did I not start the poll again?
I'm sure you
All
did.
right, here.
Yeah, I'm sure you did.
Here you go. Okay,
Yeah,
let's
I see,
do
I
like
see
maybe a
it.
minute.
Mm-hmm.
Please take your time. Just let us know where you are, where you want to be. Again, this helped me and April to plan for our next series.
Yes.
Stay tuned. Next year is going to be great. 2026. Hopefully, we're not too late. I know there's
Yeah.
something big going on 2026. If you
Mm-hmm.
barely start a business, you still have time. But if
There
you've
is
been
still
in the
time.
business a couple of years, our expert are very optimistic that their work has to be done. But we are here to really want to push our local businesses to get to this event. Okay, that's great. We have a
Yeah, I
poll.
agree. I know that is definitely the direction they much rather see local businesses
Mhm.
take advantage and support the activities that will be going on rather than someone coming from out of state. So there's a big drive and push, as you can see with the summit coming up, with the things that PACE is doing. There really is a drive to make sure that there are ample opportunities for local. So
Absolutely.
that makes me really happy to know that
I
it's
I
true.
can't wait for LAX to finish all the
We're,
construction. I
I
think there will
tell
be
you,
millions of people.
I know. It's going to be so exciting. It really is. So I'm really looking forward to it as well.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of interest in concessionaire vendor and brand concept. Okay, that's great. Thank you so much for putting out this poll. It's very helpful, just so you know. It's really helped us to do some analysis and see
Mm-hmm.
where we want to do next. Awesome. Okay, keep it coming. I think we
Yeah.
have 24 people. It's okay. If you're not ready or it's other, it's okay too.
Yeah, other is fine. We're
Okay.
welcome. We're glad that you're here.
All right, I'm gonna stop the poll now at 2 minutes.
Okay.
And let's see, I'm gonna share the result.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Wow.
Okay, we have
All right.
retail. Thank you. Thank you
Yeah.
everyone for
Yeah,
submitting the
thank you.
poll. All
That's
right.
great.
All right,
That's
April, I'm
great.
gonna turn over
Yeah.
to you. And I'm
Okay.
again, we're gonna monitor the chat. You have any Q&A, you can just put in a Q&A session or put in the
Yeah.
chat and we will go through the question at the throughout the presentation. Thank you.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Soprani and the PACE team again, just and for offering me this extraordinary opportunity to speak to your constituents that I know that you highly value and prize. So I am absolutely delighted anytime I have an opportunity to speak to entrepreneurs. Just the energy that everyone has and the things that they've had to overcome to be here is amazing and great stories to tell. And I'm always overjoyed to meet them. And anytime that I can provide assistance or come alongside a entrepreneur, someone who aspires to be at the airport, especially, then I'm here to help. So with that, we'll just go ahead. My name is April Stewart, and I'm president and CEO of Skyview Concessions. I am a first generation entrepreneur, and I love saying that because it's going to read into my story, which I'm going to talk to you about a little later on. And been in business for a number of years. I like to say I started when I was like 10, because I think it's been 25 years in the industry. And having started as a store manager out at Tom Bradley at LAX, and then going on to take the leap of faith and forming my own business. So I'm going to make sure this will, yeah, it likes to delay. So I'll keep talking while until it warms up. It for some reason likes to just hold. But just to let you know, today will be an overview of real operations at the airport and how you might become a concessionaire and the different pathways to getting there. So we'll give you real life examples so that you can gain clarity as to how you might strategically position your company. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. How you might strategically position your company so that if you desire to be at the airport, you can explore the various avenues and opportunities to do so. I always like to start with a picture, and so this was a great day in San Francisco, actually. This was a part of our grand opening of our grab and go concept, which I love because it features local purveyors of food. In fact, we took someone who had a food truck and we helped them to repackage their product and we invited them to come into the airport. And this is also the same location where there was a woman it was a company who had Vietnamese coffee and they were at the farmers market. And we met them. I introduced this company to my partner company here that you see pictured here. And we sampled 40 bottles. We blew them out. And then we started ordering 80 bottles every couple of days. And now that company is going into Whole Foods. And then I have also introduced them to San Jose, which is an up and coming concessions that I will be we just were awarded San Jose, so we'll have an opportunity to operate in San Jose as well. The lady, so we opened during the Lunar New Year, and we got to have the dragon. And so it was just a fun day, lots of excitement at the airport. And the lady that's beside me is one of the leasing managers for SFO. So with that, without further ado, let's talk about the agenda today. What are we going to cover? What is a concessionaire and how to apply? There are various avenues to get into concessions. We're going to look at the concessions requirements and operationally what it requires to operate at the airport. I also want you to have financial considerations, to be aware of what it will cost to come into the airport, some of the considerations that you really need to take a look at before you take that dive. We will also overview the RFP process. So we'll take a look at the RFP process, and so you can know how it all works, so you won't be in the dark should you decide to bid. And then we're going to take kind of a hard right in a way, and we're going to discuss this new interim rule that's happened to our industry. It's taken place just a few weeks ago. There are still a lot of questions up in the air, but I didn't feel like I could present to you opportunities or how it is to operate as a concessionaire at the airport without giving you this newest information. So we'll take a dive into that. And then how to navigate the new world, the new journey. So we'll look at that and then next steps, and then of course Q&A. So what is a concessionaire? So a concessionaire is a company or a joint venture that's been authorized by an airport to operate retail, dining, or service businesses within the airport under a lease or concession agreement. So as an example, a prime concessionaire holds a direct lease with the airport. You may recognize them as Host, Hudson, Arias, Parodies. These are some of the prime concessionaires at the airport. You could also be a joint venture partner, and a joint venture partner operates under the shared ownership with the prime. So you will have some equity. You will have I've seen anywhere from 3% to, you could have up to 49% equity on a new contract or lease. And you share in the benefits and also the woes if there are some challenges such as COVID in a joint venture ownership or partnership. And then ACDBE partner is another opportunity. This is someone that is certified as a disadvantaged business, and you meet the FAA and DOT eligibility. Now, I have it highlighted and with an asterisk because, as I mentioned, we're going to talk more about this. The rules have changed, and I want you to be aware of that. Now, having said all of this, I want you to know that I've been all of these. I've been a prime concessionaire, and I was a prime when I had a direct lease operating Vera Bradley at Terminal 1 at LAX. I am currently, all of my contracts now are in a joint venture status. I am joint venture partners with a number of retailers and duty-free, and also on hospitality, food and beverage. In fact, at LAX, you might recognize CPK in Terminal 1, Southwest Terminal, CPK California Pizza Kitchen, Coffee Bean and Tea Leaf, Earth Cafe and Riley's Bar. Those are the ones that we own and operate in Terminal 1. And in Terminal 2, we have all of the retail. This is typically where you get your bottled water or your neck pillow. And we have all of the retail in Terminal 2 except for duty free. So if you're at Delta and you're departing between gates 20 and 29, and you pop into one of those stores, those would be our locations at LAX. And then I am also an ACDBE partner that I have some equity with the prime concessionaire, as I mentioned, as a joint venture partner. Now, let's talk about the airport ecosystem. We mentioned this, and so this will just be an overview. But there's the airport. If you think of the airport as like the landlord, then there's the prime concessionaires. Those are the companies that I mentioned, the Hudsons, the Hosts, the Parodies, the Areas of the world, and then vendor and subcontractor. So I think I saw a number of you that are vendors. So you then support the prime concessionaires. Subcontractors typically aligns with those that are in construction and those that are doing the airport construction contracts are subcontractors. So you will often hear, depending on which airport, the airports can also be called authorities, or they might be called a developer. So interchangeable names, just so that you're aware of what the names could possibly be. But again, if you think of the airport as a landlord, the prime concessionaires as the tenant, and then the vendors and subcontractors are the ones that really help us keep the airport going, because you're providing great product or great services. So, and those are all needed to help our travelers enjoy their journey while at the airport. The airport will set the policy and lease spaces. So what this means is there will be an RFP, and I'm going to try to catch myself when I'm using acronyms. RFP is request for proposal. And the airport will determine or carve out the number of spaces and the location of those spaces in the terminal. So at Terminal 1 kind of has the feel of American, or rather California lifestyle. We have California Pizza Kitchen, Coffee Bean and Tea Leaf, Earth Cafe. These are all, and Riley's Bar. These are all local brands that we have set a licensing agreement with to operate their brands in our airport. By the way, I got to brag a little bit. Our Earth Cafe was awarded the Food and Beverage Award a couple of years ago as the best cafe in the world at airports. And then also our California Pizza Kitchen used to hold the #1 location, revenue producing location in the entire California Pizza Kitchen chain in the entire world. So that just goes to prove the power of the airport. But all of this was prior to COVID, I have to say. So things have changed, but we're resilient. Next, concessionaires will manage the operation. So we are the managers. We bid for the right to improve a lease space. And I'll talk more about that in a second, but we look to improve a space, and we then operate, whether it's a restaurant or if it's a retail store, duty free, a specialty, or shoe shine, or the spa. So we bid for the right to improve those spaces, pay the money to improve those spaces, and then to operate them on a daily basis. And then, of course, the vendors and subcontractors, as I mentioned, that support the day-to-day business. We can't do it without you. So for those of you that have great products, we certainly are always looking for that new, great, sustaining item that every airport is going to want to have on their shops and on their shelves, such as the neck pillow, right? That's something that's very popular. We sell more of those than almost anything because unfortunately, people forget them and they need to buy another one. So we're there to help them, right? That is what our job is. Okay. Next, now I want to talk about different pathways to becoming a concessionaire. Oftentimes, we travel through the airport and we don't give much thought or consideration as to how those stores got there, or they think the airport is managing it, or they think one company has all of the concession spaces at the airport. I'm going to kind of give you a little behind the scenes of how you too can become a concessionaire, should you decide to do this. As a prime concessionaire, as I mentioned, prime concessionaires those are the big guys. How do you apply for a prime concessionaire? By the way, let me correct something. You don't have to be a big guy to be a prime concessionaire. There are medium size, and then I mentioned I was a prime concessionaire and I had one location, and that qualified me to be a prime concessionaire because I had a direct lease with the airport. So typically people think of the big guys, the hosts and the parodies of the world, but we also can be prime concessionaires based on our agreement with the airport. The way to apply is to respond to a RFP, again, a request for proposal, and then those can be found in RAMP and Bonfire. So you want to make sure that your NAICS codes are updated and that you are registered in ramps and bonfires so that they will send you the notifications whenever there is an opportunity that matches your experience. Okay. Next is joint venture partnerships. The way to apply is to align with prime concessionaires. So this is often the entry point for many companies to gain access and learn about the airport by working in a joint venture partnership capacity. And you will have a certain role depending on what you negotiate with the prime company. But joint venture partnerships, it's I think is a favorable way to gain access and entry to the airport space. Now, you can also sublease, and the way to apply is to align with a prime concessionaire, and you will operate within the concessionaire's agreement. So what this means is, if that airport, let's say you win, the prime wins package B, and let's say it has 3 stores or 3 restaurants, you would approach the prime and tell them, negotiate that you want to operate independent of the joint venture partnership or independent of the prime. So essentially, of those 3 locations, you are going to ask for one of those or multiple locations and ask to or negotiate to operate solely and independently of the prime that won that package. So you will be responsible for the build out independently. You'll be responsible for the rent as an independent operator. You'll be responsible for the utilities, all that goes into operating your own location. It's just that you are looking to carve out 1 or 2 or multiple locations inside the package that the prime concessionaire has won. So those do occur. You'll see that in, especially in restaurants, more than not, you see the restaurants will carve out a sublease and the owner will operate their own restaurant within the package. So that does occur, but just know that that is an option that's available for you. Well, let me go back to a joint venture. Know that and understand that you will share in the benefit of the entire package. So as I mentioned in the example of 3 locations on package B, if you're awarded in a package and there are 3 locations, you then share in the benefit of all 3 locations. So share in the equity, share in the profits, share in the losses, share in the expenses of all 3. There's some protection in that because if you are a sublease and let's say an airport decides to move the airline, then, and your space is predicated upon that airline using the gates in front of your store, then you will be with that contract for 10 years without much activity in front of your store. If you're in a joint venture, then you have the benefit of all 3 of the locations and you share in that, and there are some protections so that if a location goes down, you still can benefit from the whole. So I hope if there are any questions about that, I'm happy to go over that again. But those are the differences between, let's say, a joint venture and then a sublease. Sublease, you will have your own independence, and then in the joint venture, you enjoy the benefit of all of the locations. Okay. Partnering strategies. So it's important, as we've talked about the different ways of gaining entry into the airport as a concessionaire. You want to be sure to align with a prime that values mentorship. So you want to work with a company that is going to value what you can bring to the table, and you will have a real role on the contract. It's very important, especially as we're moving into some of the changes with the new rule. So being able to operate is very significant. You want to develop your relationships. So it's important to show up at the outreaches and to develop relationships throughout the organization. You will also, if you're a vendor, you will want to take advantage and build a great track record through your relationships. So you've already demonstrated that you've had capacity, you've been able to scale, you're able to be responsive to the airport or to the retailer or the restaurateur. And because the airport is so dynamic that we used to have this saying, stack product high and let it fly. Stack them high and let them fly because of the volume at the airport. So if you are able to prove that you are capable and ready to be that vendor for the restaurant or the retailer, then they'll bring you along with them in future endeavors. Okay, now I want to discuss operations, and I'm an operator, so I'm really excited. I'm really excited about this. So food and beverage and quick service and dine-in, these are the type of concessions that you'll see at the airport. This happens to be my CPK that's pictured here, as a matter of fact. So it does require consistent supply chain and labor management. It is intensive. We are operating as early as 5 a.m. in the morning. The airport asks us to be open right as TSA arrives, and then they want us to stay open all the way until the last flight, 30 minutes after the last flight has departed. So that could be anywhere from 4 or 5 a.m. and operating all the way until 1 a.m. the next morning. Okay, travel essential and newsstands. You see the the neck pillows in the front, again, a very popular item. This is frequent product replenishment and tight vendor schedules. So again, this is where, as if you are a vendor, you want to be able to meet the schedules and the demands of the retailer. Space at the airport is so limited that they, on the retail side, you've got to turn very quickly, quick remerchandising. You have a rush and then you've got to replenish, and there's another rush and then you replenish. So it's a very active environment. And when we're at our peak season, which typically is summer, and then of course we have Christmas, product will fly off of the shelves, and we like that. And we're so into how well your product performs. We really get into the metrics, and we look at sales per square foot. But I'm not going to nerd out on that, but that is something that is very valuable because we pay a lot of money to operate there, and because of the expense of it, we need to make sure that we have products that are going to perform according to our standards. Next is duty free and luxury. Again, another one of my locations. This is in San Francisco. This was a grand opening in San Francisco, another fun day. It does require a high capital investment. We have brands such as Chanel, Dior, Yves Saint Laurent, Joe Malone, Hermes even. And these brands require very high design finishes. And so it's very, very costly. Our duty-free concessions. There are a number of stores, but it was multiple tens of millions of dollars to build out the locations in San Francisco. So it's a very high capital investment. And also because it's duty-free, we are governed by customs. So there are rules and procedures that we have to follow, so that we are not shut down by violating any customs regulations. So we have very strict export compliance that we need to abide by. Okay. So there are more. Specialty retail is another way to enter into the concessions operations. Specialty often has a focus on niche products that tell a story. The brand needs to align with what the airport demographics are. So in this case, this was my Vera Bradley location that I was very blessed to receive the keys to the location. I didn't have to build it out. And that saved me about $500,000 to build out a 500 square foot location. So I was very pleased to be able to have that experience. We had a 2-year lease. We were offered an extension and we opted not to take the extension because, as I mentioned earlier, the airport dynamics can change. So TSA changed the flow of the traffic. So we were no longer receiving traffic in front of our store. People used to clear security and then walk in front of our store and then go on to their gate. So we had high visibility. When TSA changed the pattern, we were being bypassed. So it just didn't make sense to continue to operate in that location. Grab and go convenience. This is the one that we opened the Dragon. We had the Dragon store. So the Dragon at our store. So this speaks to speed and efficiency. Our customers know what they want. They come in. A lot of times it's commuters and they know exactly what they want to buy. They have the store scoped out. They make their purchases and they want to get in and get out as quickly as possible. And in this case, with our location, we like to bring in the taste of the local area. So taste of the San Francisco and Greater Bay Area to give our customers a chance to experience what they may not have had an opportunity to go out into the marketplace and experience. And then it also gives local purveyors an opportunity to be exposed by, by thousands, maybe millions of passengers, depending on where the store is located. And then services. So this requires a specialized license. So we may have spas, shoe shine, or foreign currency. So these are the service concessions. There's also automatic retail or vending. That's also an opportunity as a concession. And then there's also advertising as well. Okay. Now I want to share with you some financial and lease considerations. Operating at the airport it's costly. It is very costly. First of all, there are the lease types. So we bid for the right to operate a space at the airport. And so we pay the airport a percentage of our sales. It goes towards rent. So that can range anywhere from 8% of sales to as high as 35, 40% of revenue can go to rent. All depends on how it's negotiated and what your financial offer is when you place your bid to the airport. There's also a minimum annual guarantee, and that's when the airport is looking for a guaranteed amount of rent, maybe it's $60,000 a year. And then once you reach that 60,000, if your sales are better than the minimum annual guarantee on a monthly prorated basis, then the airport will tier the rent and they will take the greater of the rent percentage or the minimum annual guarantee. So that is how the airport makes money. Build out costs and operating capital. So as I mentioned, operating at the airport is costly. Build out costs probably are ranging maybe on the low end at about $1,100 a square foot to build out those spaces. And again, depending on the finishes, the brand specifications, it could go much higher, right? It could be $2,000, it could be $1,800 per square foot. So again, a 500 square foot space could easily be $500,000 to build out the store, and then you need to have your equipment as well. So the equipment cost is factored into that as well. And then your operating capital or your working capital, you'll need to have enough for labor, for utilities, of course, the rent for the first couple of months. So while you're getting your gearing up for your operation, you will need to have a set aside of your working capital that will be sufficient. Insurance requirements. You will need to, of course, have insurance, and it depends on what you're doing at the airport. So if you decide that you want to have your product delivered by your team to the loading dock, then you're going to need to have extra insurance because it's a high liability. You're dealing with airplanes, your driver is driving next to airplanes and those baggage trolleys. So there's a high expense in terms of the insurance for liability for the airport should you decide to go that route. And then there are other insurances as well. So it just depends on what you're doing, what your role is, and how you want to have your product delivered to the airport. Amazon does not deliver to the airport. FedEx does not deliver to the airport. They will deliver to an offsite location. It will be consolidated and then brought to the airport by, in some cases, a freight company. When I had my Vera Bradley store, I worked with an airline that delivered my product to my location. And of course, there's extra costs for that. So financing options, you can self-fund if you're able to do so. Lenders, there are now more lenders in the market than there were years ago. We used to go to banks and they had no concept of how to collateralize a lease, because that's all we have is a lease. So we did not receive traditional funding. But now we're starting to see CDFIs and companies like Lendistry that are bankers that are coming on board and are making funding available. So there are funding resources that are out there nowadays, more so than there used to be. So that's a good thing. And then equity, if you decide to go with raising your capital with equity, you want to ensure that you retain at least 51% of your company. That's just a tip there. All right. So now operating at an airport, there are expenses, what we call CAM, common area maintenance. So when you are at the airport and you see someone who is sweeping or wiping down the tables, those are common area maintenance folks, and we fund that by, I believe it's about 2 or 3% of our revenue goes to the maintenance of the common area. Parking. So employees working at an airport is very different than, let's say, a mall or a strip mall. At a mall, the employees can park next to Macy's in a designated parking spot for employees and quickly get to the store and clock in. At the airport, the employees are going to park at a remote lot, an employee parking lot that's designated, and there's a fee for that. But they're going to park at the remote lot and then be shuttled in and then need to clear security. So that can add another 30 days coming and going both ways, so another hour to their commute time. So that's something to consider when you are recruiting for your employees. Now, there will be the train that will be coming, so hopefully that will, it should speed up our timing to get to security, to clear security, and then be able to come to work. So maybe it'll shave some minutes off of our 30-minute allowance time to get to our check-in point. Badging, employees need to be badged. So there's a background check that is performed on all employees. We are fingerprinted and we are given a screening. And oftentimes as an employer, you might want to do the background check first. And then once they are cleared, then you bring them on board and give them another background check through the airport. So there are costs that are affiliated with that. And some airports actually charge for badging. I don't believe LAX charges, but San Francisco, there's a fee for badges. Insurance. Now, in this case, the other insurance was business insurance. In this case, this is employee insurance. So we at the airport, we have something called a airport living wage, which I'll speak to again a little bit further, but you want to offer your employees insurance. Logistics, as I mentioned earlier about getting your product into the airport is an additional expense. We're not able to just drive up to the curb and then take delivery of the products that we're receiving. It has to go through a certain chain, go through the loading dock, and then brought up to your location. And also those packages are also screened as well. Sometimes you can use Cisco, like the food and the restaurants, they use Cisco and to bring product in. So that's another avenue. And then operating hours, I've mentioned we can be open as early as 4 or 5 a.m. and operate all the way until 1 in the morning in some cases. Some stores are able to close early. You just have to make the justification to the airport, or the airport will ask that of your contract, let's say if you were awarded 3 spaces, that 1 space of the 3 would remain open the entire hours. And then labor costs. In California and in Los Angeles, we have a living wage. And the airport and hotels surrounding airport hotels have what is called the airport living wage, which is more than the regular, excuse me, than the regular living wage. And in fact, excuse me, in fact, by the 2028, there is going to be a stepped up increase where our employees will be earning roughly $30 an hour plus maybe about $8 in benefits. So just under $40 an hour will be the entry level wage. So your barista at the airport, your stock handler, your cashier will be making nearly $40 an hour by the time the Olympics rolls around. So that can be quite challenging, especially if you are a smaller concessionaire. So just be aware of the labor costs as well. All right, we'll move on. So next is the request for proposal, or the RFP process. So once you've decided you want to go forward and you want to get into this airport space, the airport concessions, you want to keep an eye out on RAMP, and as the announcements for opportunities are posted there. And there you will see the key dates, such as your submission date. If there's a tour, what date the tour will take place. So you want to become really familiar with RAMP, and you'll stay in it once you decide that you want to go for an opportunity to bid. Also, the criteria will be detailed inside the announcement. So it will include evaluation schedule for design. You're evaluated on your financial strength. What are you bringing to the airport financially? The experience of the team. Do you have a partner and are they disadvantaged, which will be the new word? Is it, and how will that be rated? That's another question that we'll be discussing a little bit further. What is your concept? Is it a concept that aligns with what the airport is looking for and their view and how they want to see the airport? So those criteria are listed inside the announcements. If there is a tour, it is typically optional. I recommend that you participate on the tours. So this gives you an opportunity to get behind the gates, to go beyond security, to see what's in proximity to your location, what's adjacent, what's across, what airlines are the destination of the gates that your location would be positioned. What is the flow of the traffic? Are you pre-security, post-security? So it's very important that you have an idea of the spaces. So I do recommend that you do take the tour of the space. And I've had someone go with me, and that was on my team when I was considering a space, and their eyes were open really wide because they were able to see kind of behind the scenes of the airport. So it's really kind of cool, actually. So there will be a time for Q&As that is allowed within the confines of the announcement. So prior to the due date, you will be able to ask questions. You need to watch this closely because they may set a key date for the questions and answers. They may say 3 weeks before the bid is due, all questions will have to be in, and they're going to close questions. But I noticed with T4 that's out on the street right now, they're leaving the Q&A section open. And when you're asking questions, it becomes public knowledge. So it's fair to everyone. So this way, you're grateful when someone asks a question that maybe you hadn't thought of, and it gives you some insight into your strategy and what you're going to do in terms of your proposal. At some point in time, they will set a cone of silence, meaning they either will stop answering Q&As, stop answering your questions, and you can no longer speak to the airport concessions team. So they want to make sure it's a fair process and no one has an advantage. So there will be a cone of silence and you cannot ask questions. If you see them, you can speak to the concessions team. However, you cannot raise any questions about this particular RFP that's out on the street. After you have submitted your proposal, there will then be a short list. What happens is the airport looks at, or the team, the award team will look at the requirements. Have you met the requirements? And if so, then they will invite you to a short list if they like what you're proposing. And then you will have an opportunity to give an interview. That's my cat. You'll have an opportunity to give an interview before either the board or the selection committee. And then there will be the RFP award notification, and you will be successful and you'll win it. We don't know how long it takes to receive the award notification. It can be as short as weeks after you've made your interview, or it can go out to be a number of months, depending on the circumstances of that particular RFP. And I will also say sometimes they will cancel the RFPs, but that doesn't happen too often. But so you would receive your the award notification, and then you would then go into it being voted upon by the board. And once it has been passed by the board or the city council, then you go into design negotiations with the airport, which I love that part. It's a lot of fun. All right. So success at the airport does require not just compliance, but preparation, documentation, and adaptability. So I want to now pivot on to let you know what's happening in the airport with this new interim DBE rule. How are we coming for time? Woo, okay. So this new rule, it has removed race and gender-based presumptions for disadvantage. So the boxes are no longer available where you would check Black or Latino, Hispanic, or Asian Pacific Islander. Those boxes are gone. You will no longer check woman or male or female or undeclared. Those boxes are gone. Now, what it will require is for you to declare what is your socioeconomic disadvantage. And this is a new rule. There's still a lot of questions that are that need to be answered. So what it means for business owners that it removes the race or gender from the application. You will need to write a narrative for social and economic disadvantage. So you are here and you have success. But I'm sure everyone on this call has had some type of obstacle that they have had to overcome in order to get here. So that is what you're going to lean on going forward. All firms will need to be reevaluated. So we understand that there are 41,000 DBEs in the country. I don't know how many are in LA, but you can expect if you are certified that you will hear from your certifying agency asking for an update. So we don't know how long that's going to take, but just keep an eye out in your mail. The ACDBE goals will be paused or adjusted on existing RFPs. For example, in Terminal 4, the RFP goal for ACDBE has dropped to 0. So there is no longer a goal. However, we are hearing from the prime companies that they still believe in the spirit of inviting local and small and minority companies onto the contract. So let's see what happens. We'll keep our eyes on that one to see how far we can go with this. So it's still to be determined. We'll now shift our focus to capacity. Very important that we be prepared and we lean on our ability to operate and our capacity. We don't need to lean any longer on our race or any discrimination, but rather how we've been disadvantaged. That will be your narrative, and then you will focus on your capacity to perform. What this means for your business and your business case, you need to develop your narrative of disadvantage, your socioeconomic narrative. Please start gathering your financial documents and your proof of business. You're going to report on any denials or systemic barriers that you've had to experience along the way. This is how you will prove you are disadvantaged. Please update your capability statement, again, leaning onto your experience and your capability, your capacity. And then you might consider getting letters of reference or of your performance history. I don't know yet if this will be called for, but it'd be good to have in your portfolio. Just to have if it's not allowed, but just to have it as proof in the event you have an opportunity to interview or talk about it. Next steps. Build operational and financial readiness early. Let's get going. Let's get going right now today. The ACDBE landscape has changed, as I discussed with the new rule. So it's important that you are proactive and you stay informed. So get involved, attend outreaches at PACE offers, AMAC, the Airport Minority Advisory Council. Now is the time to really get into community. You want to lean in so that you know what's going on. Prepare, I can't stress enough, prepare your individual narrative and your documentation. They are going to ask for a personal net worth statement and then your personal narrative. Stay ready for opportunities. Always be ready. And then, as I mentioned, connect with PACE and AMAC and any other organizations that you're affiliated with just to know what is going on in the marketplace. So the key takeaway, Success in the airport environment is dynamic, and it does demand a collective commitment, creativity, and capacity in order for it to be successful overall. We need each other. There is an ecosystem, so everyone's role is important at the airport. All right. How much time do I have left? We're up for Q&A now. So thank you very much. And I hope you found this informative. Thank you.
Well, we unpacked a lot,
Yeah.
April. Thank you for all the updates. Let's
Mhm.
go through the Q&A from first one. What is the advantage to companies to take on individual at large like you or me to go into joint venture with?
Yeah, great question. And so in the pre-rule, there was a goal, an ACDBE goal of anywhere from 10 to 20, 25%. And you would receive points for that percentage, that ACDBE small business participation on the as you submit your bid. Also, let's face it, as a small business, we are nimble and we can bring ideas and fresh ideas and innovation to some of these larger companies, and they are looking for that. So now, post the rule, where there is no longer an ACDBE percentage that has been declared, and it's zero at this point in time, they still would like to bring us on because we are innovative. We do bring value to the business. We do bring new ideas. So again, if you are working with a concessionaire that values partnership and values mentorship, there is an opportunity for us still. We as small businesses, you know how to run your business, you have the capacity, you're demonstrating that. As a vendor, you're showing that you are ready and able to fulfill the orders that are required. So there's benefit, and they feel good about going to the local politicians and saying, this is how we are impacting the local community. So there is real value to what we bring to the table, and that's why they would like to continue. I was speaking with one of my partners, and they said, we just want to do the right thing. We want to do what's right.
Thank you. Next question, is joint venture similar to a franchise structure?
Good question. So joint venture is a little bit different. In a joint venture, you hold equity. So you are forming, let's say my company or your company forms a new LLC with the prime company. Let's say it's Parodies. So you form a new entity and then you hold an equity position. So it could be 5, 10, 15, or 20% equity in the new company that has been formed, the new LLC. So you enjoy the benefits of the revenue share and distributions, also losses. You also are responsible for making contributions in terms of the build-out costs. A franchise would probably be more akin to the sublease, where you want to come into the airport with your own concept, and then you want to run that independent of the prime companies. So that's pretty much how you would distinguish the difference between a franchise or a joint venture. We have California Pizza Kitchen. It's not a franchise, but rather it's a leasing agreement. So there's a difference there. I hope that answered your
Next
question.
question,
Mhm.
are sublease opportunity on RAM, bonfire, or are those opportunity made through networking at events?
I think through construction, subleasing is available, and was it something called Maytalk? I'm not really familiar with the construction side. So on the concessionaire side, the those opportunities are not made clear in ramp. You would need to partner with the prime concessionaire. That's why relationships are important. And then there might be the opportunity to sublease through that way.
Thank you. Next question is a compliment from Keisha. April, you're so beautiful,
Oh,
and
thank
we can tell you where to get your DBA. Yes.
oh, thank you so
Um,
much.
Next question. Do you know why flowers aren't really in the airport?
Ah, I love
True.
flowers. I love flowers. They used to be in the old days in the 80s and the 90s, because I've been there that long, but there used to
Good
be
question.
flowers, and some airports do have flowers.
Interesting.
So it's just a matter of making an argument for it or a case for it. So that I love flowers. So I agree. Let's bring them back. Let's bring them back.
Maybe it's difficult to put on your carrying, I mean, bring on the
Yeah,
plane.
you
Yeah.
know, you have to,
A
like
good
we have
idea.
flowers in Sacramento at one point in time, so we wouldn't sell out of all of them all of the time, but you know, it's great when you're meeting someone and or
Yeah,
you're going to
it's
dinner.
right
So
there.
yeah.
Okay, next question. Was there a reason behind using economic disparity disadvantage for measuring participation in the opportunity for each bid? Hmm.
Was there a reason for measuring?
Behind using economic disparity disadvantage for measuring participation.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the reason behind it is because in the so it's not until the like late well 1983 when the ACDBE program came into effect. There were no opportunities for small, local, or minority or women to that were operating at the airport prior to the program starting up. It was run by a few companies, and someone like me, as an example, who is an operator, would love to have the opportunity to run a store. I ran a store on behalf of someone working for them, but I'd like to also have an opportunity to get in the game and have my own concessions or be a partner with someone. So the doors opened in 1983. And that opened the doors for women, minority, to have an opportunity to join a team and partner with the prime companies. I guess now, so it's dropped to zero. So the direction now is to lean on a disadvantage. What was the obstacle that prevented you from being able to have an opportunity at the airport? So that is the direction now that DEI is being dismantled. It's going towards the point of disadvantage. So this is where your capacity really, you'll lean on your capacity and be able to demonstrate that you are a true partner in the sense and you're adding value to the contract.
And last question, do you think preserved flower would considered a luxury items?
I love flowers. Again, the
It's from
flowers.
Jessica. She loves flowers.
Yeah, I love flowers. So preserved flowers, a luxury item, meaning in the duty-free stores, if anything, I would see that as either a service or potentially a store within a store in one of the gift stores, news stores, as a way that I would see it, the newsstands, or maybe even the specialty stores. That's where I would see that category fitting in. So go for it. We'd love to see flowers, and you can prove that there's a real need and you can generate some revenue because sales per square footage is key, then I welcome it. I love the idea of flowers. So thank you. Makes me
Thank
happy.
you. Thank you for all the question and your
Yes, thank you.
participations. Again, if you are not familiar with RAM LA, or if you haven't registered, you start new thing, please reach out to us. The RAM LA have a very quick, short how to navigate the RAM LA to see open bid opportunity of all the work or professional services or whatever food beverages that you have. I would recommend to start from there, because from there you can build up your business plan and develop the strategy that Abel have been recommended since session one.
Yes.
Again, it's overwhelming. We unpacked a lot today, so don't
Mhm.
hesitate if you have any
Yes.
lingering question. Abel, you want to put your
Yes.
chat,
Yeah.
your contact information
Yeah.
in the chat just in case. And also our last session, we will be meeting a lot of a successful entrepreneur in the airport industry. We will partner with them and they can share with us their experience. I think April have a few key speaker. They're going to join us next in 2 weeks. That will be a wrap up. So don't miss our last wrap
Yes.
up session. It will be fun to
That will be our
actually
finale. It's going to be great. We're
it's
going to
gonna
have a
be great.
nice,
We're gonna
yeah.
learn so much. We unpack a lot. I mean, I'm just like overwhelming just to listen and how do I, prepare myself to actually supporting all of you who still want to pursue in this industry. So, but we're making good progress. So
Yeah.
April have her contact there. Feel
Yeah.
free, she does an email away.
Mhm.
Thank you so much, April. There's a lot we unpacked today. I definitely think that it's a good information. People need to see all this updated, and so we
Yeah.
can plan venture accordingly.
Yes, exactly. Absolutely. Yeah,
Yes.
I just couldn't, I had to jam pack it in there. I just didn't want
No,
to
no, that's
leave
awesome. I
out
think we
the
need to
information
know.
about the new rules. So,
Yes.
so important. So, but thank you. I really enjoyed this, and I'm here and available to assist in any way that I can. So don't hesitate to reach out.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, April.
Thank
We will
you.
see you in 2 weeks.